Hello, Ossining. Happy Earth Day. It's Mayor Victoria Gearity coming to you with today's update. We are having a village board meeting tonight, so we'll talk a little bit more about sustainability initiatives that are ongoing. A lot of things are sort of on hold, but there are some things that are continuing to move forward or being teed up for when we can all be in a room together. And I also just participated in a call with, or listened in on a call really with Senator Gillibrand that was coordinated for us by the county executive and his team. So I'll share the update from her on all that's happening in DC to try and get some funding out here in the current stage and some future stages of what they're looking to do. I'll give you a little more insight into what we're going to be talking about in the village board meeting tonight. So, I came to elected office through a path of environmentalism. So I really, I'm proud of some of the progress that we've made and excited about some of the continuing progress that we will make. Right now, some of the things we have underway and moving forward is the potential for community solar. Solar panels, solar installations in private properties have, Ossining has a really great rate of installations. We are a community that believes in solar. They've done some public initiatives. There's a great receptivity to it among people in Ossining, and we have a streamlined process for people to be able to get solar on their properties. Municipal solar has a different level of challenges for it to be financially viable. We pay for energy in a different way. We have different relationships with NYPA as opposed to Con Ed than a private property holder would. But there was very good news earlier this year that there is now a larger effort that is being organized for us by the county in partnership with Sustainable Westchester and NYPA. And I just got off the phone a little while ago with our manager and our engineer about how we're going to move forward with seeing what potential there is for any and all village-owned properties, wherever they are. Some of those village-owned properties could even be outside of the village border. And some of them, there's the obvious buildings that we own that people know about that have rooftops that might be viable. But sometimes there's just sort of odd properties that that we do own that are underutilized and could be good options for this, like parking lots. Having parking lot solar installations, that wasn't a viable alternative years ago, and now that is on the table as a potential way for us to get solar installations in our community. And that is something that we are very much committed to. It is going to be very much necessary in order to achieve the goals that have been set by the governor, by Albany, for us to have I believe they want to have over 70% of our electric energy coming from renewable sources in just the next few years. By 2030, I believe, is the deadline. And so having major solar installations getting underway is going to be essential for that to happen. We also are preparing to have a discussion at our next work session, which will happen May 13th, about potential wetlands legislation. The village's wetlands protections, we came to realize in the course of a project that was before the land use boards this year, are not as, we don't provide as much protection as some of our neighboring communities. So just in speaking with our attorney yesterday, his approach is going to be to review the existing wetlands legislations in our neighboring communities. That's the unincorporated town of Ossining, the village of Briarcliff Manor, Newcastle. That's a good place to start. Take a look at what they have, what's similar and different among all of their existing codes, and what makes the most sense to apply here in our community. And so we look forward to that discussion at the May 13th meeting. And then also our intention, and everything is up for grabs when it comes to capital projects, but is to do more greening of our fleet. So any vehicles that the village purchases that can be electric vehicles, to continue that effort. We have some hybrid vehicles currently, but to have some vehicles or hybrid vehicles that are coming on board, to continue going down that path will ultimately save money for the community, as well as helping us achieve our sustainability goals. And our EAC, the Environmental Advisory Council, is working on an open space inventory to identify what are all of the green spaces that are still undeveloped in the village of Ossining, and understanding that is an important component to having a thoughtful comprehensive plan and zoning approach. So we're very grateful to them for that work. And tonight at our Village Board work session at 7:30, I'll recap some of the information you just heard. You got a little preview. But we're also going to be doing our first virtual proclamation presentation, and it will be to Aaron Spring. Many of us know him because of his work on the Board of Education, as well as his terrific work working with young people, doing he does a lot of coaching. He's coached my kids in basketball and in baseball. But the project that he has become best known for in the last several months is his commitment to going out every Sunday and helping to clean up our community. And we'll give you more insights into all that he has accomplished. And we want to celebrate his tremendous work helping to clean up our community and inspiring so many other people to join him and to help work on their own community, their own neighborhoods. So I look forward to all of that this evening as our celebration of Earth Day continues. So to tell you about Senator Gillibrand's update, she was part of the effort in Washington to get some additional stimulus money in this latest round of funding from Washington. This latest round includes $75 billion to hospitals, $25 billion toward testing. Testing obviously is going to be essential for people to be able to send their kids back to school, to go out and go to restaurants and go shopping. And so I'm glad that they're taking it seriously in Washington. There was also some additional money in this round. There was another $250 billion going to the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection money. And there was an additional $50 billion for the emergency which is the other potentially forgivable or low-interest loan opportunities for small businesses. As we saw last time, some of the money that was intended to go to small businesses, there was a bit of a loophole, and it went to some of the larger businesses, the giant corporations, which is not how we anticipated that the money would be distributed, not how it was intended to be distributed. So they have specifically earmarked some of those funds to go to the small lenders. I don't know. I assume that will be helpful to some of the businesses, although I do know that some of our local businesses use very large lenders, whether they're a small business or not. But I'm glad to see they're at least mindful of the importance of making sure that that money gets into the hands of the truly small businesses. And this is just the latest round. There are more rounds to come. And so Senator Gillibrand talked about some of the initiatives that are being discussed for upcoming legislation, either specifically related to stimulus money or related to other concerns that like voting that are going to be so impacted by the precautions that are in place with the because of COVID-19. One of those, when it comes to voting, having funding available to make sure that everyone is able to, that every state is able to implement early voting, to have voting by mail, curbside voting, and also the potential for a day off for Election Day. So those are some of the things she was talking about, as well as universal sick time, so that the people who are the least likely to have paid sick time right now are the folks who tend to work in our restaurants and in our service industries, and the people that we know it's very important for them to stay home when they're sick rather than come out and pass along infection. And it's a lot easier to do that if your family is still going to be able to make rent at the end of the month. And also she's working with Senator, I'm blanking on her name, for a food stamps expansion, and something else that she mentioned called a health core, which was the people who are working in healthcare, not necessarily as doctors and nurses, but people who are doing the contact tracing, the testing, providing home support, either for people who are at home in a 2-week quarantine or who are stuck at home because they're elderly and they can't go out. And so she's looking to have a health corps that hires 1 million people to take on those positions. So those would be some valuable positions. It'd be great to have. It's essentially a jobs program addressing the needs that we have in our society right now. So that's interesting. She also talked about the importance of addressing the SALT deduction, which anybody who pays their property taxes knows that particularly in Westchester, where our property taxes are so much higher than most of the country, we used to at least get a large deduction deduction for our property taxes, and that was capped at $10,000, which is below what even a somewhat middle-class household might be paying in Westchester County, just because of our very high cost of living. And so I guess I'll just give you the last thing I'll mention is what's happening in tonight's village board meeting. Once a month, the trustees and I get together for dinner, usually. We sit around, have a slice of pizza, and talk about just what we have been doing on our own, and what we want to be speaking with one voice when we speak to the staff and give them direction. It's tough if you're a staff member and you get directives from 5 different people, and so we think it's important that the 5 of us get on the same page. And some of those conversations can happen, need to happen with staff in work sessions when we have the staff with us, and some of those can be helpful if the 5 of us can sit around a table, and so that's what we do once a month. So this month, let me see if I can pull up my sort of loose agenda of what we're doing. I just sent it out to the board a little while ago to make sure that we stay on task. Are you kidding me? It's not opening. Here we go. No, here we don't go. I don't know. There's something going on. Basically, we'll talk about some of our priorities for the budget, which you've been hearing us talk about during our meetings publicly on camera and with our staff. We'll do that again tonight. So in preparation for that, the 5 of us are going to just talk about if there's anything that we want to make sure that we all agree should be a priority right now, or just keep it in our mind that it's going to become a priority at some point, but we'll have to revisit it when we have a better sense of where we are financially in our community. But our meeting tonight, after the special presentation for Earth Day, we're going to have our Village Town Clerk Sue Donnelly with us to talk about some new software. We're very pleased that there are more ever expanding opportunities to be able to handle your local government functions online. So this will be a discussion of how we can continue down that path. And then we're going to get an update on what's going on with the Youth Bureau. That's something that we started last year, and there's money in the budget for it. Of course, the budget is a little more in flux than we anticipated. But the good news is for programs like the Youth Bureau, there is additional funding outside of taxpayer dollars that makes that a much more affordable venture to undertake. And so I look forward to that conversation, to learning more about where we are. We need to get some help from the county to move things forward, just from a procedure perspective, and then what it can look like if for the rest of the year as we put things into place for the village. And then the other thing we're looking at is, we've talked about it before, so today we actually will review the proposed legislation for potential revision to the village code so that people can make partial payments to their water and sewer bills. It's something that's happening already, but it's our code doesn't allow for it right now. So really we're bringing the code into alignment with our practices. So that's it for this evening's work session. And next week, I'll give you a heads up because we're really hoping to have as much public participation as possible. Next week, we will be having a special presentation about our comprehensive plan, and we are looking to have as many people attending and involved as possible. So as soon as I have a link to that, I will share it. I have asked our 2 trustee representatives to the Comp Plan Steering Committee to give us an update at tonight's meeting. So when we have more information, we will share it and hope that you can join us at 7 o'clock on the 29th, next April 29th at 7 o'clock for a virtual Village Hall meeting about the comprehensive plan. I guess that's it for now. I hope you are doing well. Happy Earth Day. This is certainly one we will remember. I look forward to being out at the waterfront next year for Earth Day. It's the 50th anniversary of Earth Day in the world. It is the 10th anniversary of the Green Ossining Earth Day Festival. And that is the biggest Earth Day celebration in Westchester County most years. And it is just a tremendous effort undertaken by our volunteer organizers led by Susie Ross. It is something I look forward to every spring. It's usually the first big event that gets us all outdoors together. And it was supposed to be happening this week. I'm so sorry that we're not able to be together at the waterfront for that this year. We will see what the plan is for rescheduling, if it's later this year or if it's next year. Meanwhile, there is still plenty of good news on the environmental front. And in fact, Mother Earth has been getting a little bit of a break with all of us staying home and not driving our cars to work. So we have been helping Mother Earth a little bit just by staying at home and helping to slow the spread and stay safe. I will see anybody who wants to tune into the village board meeting. I will see you tonight. Otherwise, I will see you for an update tomorrow on Facebook Live. Thanks so much.